Hey there! In this video we are going to continue with the soft proofing of an image, and we're going to discuss downloading and installing an ICC profile. I'm going to go into my library and select that image that I already created a soft proof virtual copy, which was on the previous video. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that into the develop module, and I'm going to bring it into the soft proofing mode by clicking on that checkbox. And just as a review, I don't have that button here that says create soft proof copy anymore because I've already created this image, which is now a virtual copy that's a soft proof copy in a previous step. So that's why I don't see that button. Alright, so why are we in here and how do we actually do the soft proofing? Well, as I mentioned earlier before, you go into the soft proofing mode in order to get some sort of print preview of an image before you actually send it to the printer. On the upper right here below the histogram, you have an option of selecting a profile. This profile could be a color space that you see here, the Adobe RGB 1998 color space, or it could be an actual paper profile, and it would simulate that paper profile. So I'm going to pick something here that says this Moab Entrada Rag Textured Pro. Just textured paper. When I click on that, I don't know if you noticed that it sort of got a little bit faded here. Let me go back to Adobe RGB, and then I'm going to click on the Entrada Rag. It got a little bit more faded, and I also have this checkbox checked that says simulate paper and ink. So this is trying to simulate, I guess, the sort of the brightness and the contrast that this paper may exhibit if you were to print this image on this paper. Now, how do you end up getting these ICC profiles in here? So let's back that up for a second. What is an ICC profile? An ICC profile, which is I'm selecting one right now, is an actual file. It's one file that contains information about the paper that you are using. In this case, it's the Moab Entrada Rag textured, and information about the printer you are going to use this paper on. So it's two things. It's a combination of the paper and the printer. So you can have the same paper and use various printers, so you would need the actual specific ICC profile for that paper and printer combination. So let's figure out how to get a particular profile in here so you can preview your image with that specific paper and printer combination ICC profile. I'm going to go to the internet, and I'm going to go to this Canson Infinity ICC Profiles search. Canson Infinity is Canson is the brand of the paper. Infinity is their paper line, and I'm searching for any other ICC profiles within their Infinity papers. And it takes me to this results set, and one of the links is the ICC profiles link on their webpage. So I'll click on that, and it takes me to this an updated page. It's just saying now ICC profiles are available for these new printers. So as I said before, this is really a paper and printer combination. You're going to have a file for each of those combinations. You can have the same set of papers from this company or any company, but they have to make an ICC profile for each printer that's out there for that particular paper. Okay, so this is just an announcement of what IC profiles are available now for these new printers. I want to get to their screen that gives me the listing of everything for all printers. So I'm going to click on this link. Now it takes me to this ICC profile page. This is where it's going to ask you what printer do you have, and maybe what particular model, and then it'll give you the options of which ICC profiles you would like to download. And this is pretty much general rule. If you go to any of these paper manufacturer websites where you go to their ICC profiles section, they're going to ask you what printer you're using and what model. That way they can direct you to all the ICC profiles specific for that printer. So at school, you're going to want to make sure you select the Canon. This is whether you're at school or at home. You want to download profiles for the printers that are at the Digipix lab, which are Canon printers, and the printer model is the Pixma Pro-1. So these are the printers that are in the Digipix lab, and after I've selected that, it automatically brought me down to all of their papers that are available on that printer. So I'm going to select, let's see, the two Aquarel rags here. The difference between these two are just the weight there. One's a little thicker and heavier than the other, but it's the same surface. And I'm going to pick the Beretta Photographique, maybe the edition etching. Okay, and there's other papers in here you can select more than just these. And I suggest if you are printing for a set of papers that are being provided at school, and if they're all Canson, select the appropriate papers on this screen once you've given it the actual printer and printer model first. So these are the ones I want to select for now, and I'm going to click on download. It's going to take my selections, package them up, put them in a zip file, and now it's prompting me where do I want to save this. So I will put this in my downloads folder, and then I'm going to hit save. Now once you've downloaded these files, you have to figure out where you need to place them on your computer. So if you go back to this page, there is some instructions here on the folder location of where these files need to be placed. So if I were to click on this area here, it actually takes me to a set of videos. So if I needed to install these profiles on the Mac, you can watch this particular video. If I needed to install them on Windows, then I can select this particular video, right? So again, you have to download them first and unzip that file, then place them in the appropriate directory. I'm going to go into my downloads folder, and I'm going to unpack this zip file, and in here I now have this ICC profile specific to those 4 different substrates or different paper surfaces that I selected on the website. I now have to copy these images or click and drag them into the appropriate folder. I'm going to go back to the previous screen because it does show you where this is on the Mac. Library Color Sync Profiles. On the Mac it's a little tricky, so it would be helpful if you watch that video that's provided when you click on this area. So I'm going to show you here where I would do that. So library is a folder on your Mac, and in order to get to that folder, I will go up to my menu on the Finder menu here. I'm going to hit Go, and notice that these are the different folders you can go into or locations. But in order for library to appear, I have to hold my Option key on the keyboard, and then library appears. Notice that it's right below home. If I let go of the Option key, it disappears. It's a hidden directory. So for Windows, it might be a hidden folder too, and the video should explain how to get to these folders in order for you to place these files in there. So it might be a hidden folder, and it might be a little trick to get to them. For here, in order for me to get to the library folder, I got to go to the Go under the Finder menu, hit the Option key, library finally appears. I click on that, and now I am at the library folder, and the folder is actually library, color sync, and then profiles. You'll notice that I already have several profiles installed on there. So all I need to do now is copy the ones that I just downloaded into this location. So I'm going to go get another Finder window here, and I'm going to go to my downloads folder and go back to the where I downloaded the ICC profiles. I'm going to select all of these, which would be Command A or Control A on your Windows, or you can say Edit, Select All. I'm going to click and drag them into this Profiles folder. Now they're there. What you need to do when you go back into Lightroom is that they will not automatically appear here just yet. You've got to restart your Lightroom, and I'm going to close that out. And I'm going to go ahead and restart Lightroom. In order for Lightroom to look into this folder and recognize that there are new profiles in there. That's what you'll have to do on the Mac operating system as well as the Windows operating system. So as Lightroom is restarting, it's going to look into that folder and recognize that there are new profiles in there. Now I'm back into my image. Notice that I'm not in the soft proofing mode. I need to check that box, so I need to click on that. Then I'm going to go to the profile area, and now I'm going to add my papers to this area. When I click on it, you may not have anything in here, and that's okay, but these papers are appearing for a reason, because I'm adding them to this sort of like a favorites list. So in order to get your papers to appear here, you got to click on the other, and then you're going to be prompted with this window, and these are all the profiles that are found on this computer, and you'll have to look for the ones that you just downloaded. So the ones that are check marked right now are the ones that you saw previously. That's why you could see them there. The ones that are not checked exist on my computer, they're just not appearing on that list. So I'm gonna need to look for these new ones, and if you recall, the file names look like something like this: CIFA, Canson Infinity, and then it's the Pixma Pro, and then there's Aquarel right there. There's two versions of that, the Beretta and then the Edition etching. So I want to select all four of those there, and I'm going to hit OK. When I do that and I go back into the profiles again, you'll notice that now they have been added here, and it's all designated by this file name. You'll notice I have other CIFA profiles, and they have a 3880. That's the designation of the printer. That's the printer I have at home. And then the Pixma Pro 1 is the printer that we have at school, and these are the files that correspond to the ones that I just downloaded from the internet. So let's say I wanted to look at this Aquarel 310 one. I'll select that, and notice that it got a little lighter even. So Aquarel is a matte type of paper, is a non-reflective photographic paper, and matte papers tend to be have less contrast, less color saturation, which is typical of matte papers. So that's why it kind of went a little lighter. Now and let's see what else I picked. I picked this Beretta Photographique. That one is not as washed out in comparison to the Aquarel paper. So there are some differences here when you do select these papers. I'm going to pick the Edition etching. That one is also a matte paper, and it got a little bit lighter here. So this is now a way for you to kind of observe to see what it would look like possibly on this particular paper. So if you think that, well, it's just a little too, first of all, I think this needs to be brighter. Maybe I can, work on the contrast more. This would be the time to do that, leaving it in soft proofing mode. I can go in here and I can say, well, I'm going to open up the shadows a little bit more. Maybe I want to use a brush on this area to brighten that up. Maybe I want to use tone curve to increase the contrast just a little bit. All these things to make this make adjustments to this image for this particular paper, right? So that is what soft proofing is about: is selecting the particular paper profile, and then making adjustments accordingly for that particular paper profile.